In soldier camera, let me move all the way up and find the variable. Let's see, Control F, find the next one. The next time I see it, I'm seeing this, rather that position equals something and rather camera dot rotation equals something. So this is the place. Okay, I simply want to find when it's called. So moving up to the function, it's called camera movement, and if you see, the camera movement is called here and it's in late update. So we have something to work on that, and that's it. In late update we'll do two things. We'll take a look at that later. So then one of the things that we are doing is we are calculating the camera position and rotation. Okay, and let's call it calculate rather pose. That's it. Okay, now in calculate rather pose, what we do is this. So first thing we are doing is this. Okay, we are saying, hey, if our radar is not equal to null, then set the position and set the camera rotation. But we have a variable here that we are not defined yet, and if I look from the top of the script to the bottom in the start, we are assigning something to it. So let's do it. So we have a start method, and in that we are assigning something to it. Then moving on, in update we are not interested in it, and in late update nothing. In camera movement, of course it shouldn't, yeah, it has something. And if you take a look, this is happening before the camera, before the radar. So we'll have in the calculate radar pose something like this, and if you take a look at the later on, we have this, and we're calling if physics.raycast something. Then we are calculating a float and the hit distance and doing something on that, calculating the target height, and then assign it to the pose, C pose. So we need this below the same measurement, and after that we are just assigning it to the position. Okay, that's it. But we have another variable here called x, and it's a private variable. So moving on, in a start we don't have in a start we have a call here. Okay, so it's in the start method again, and nowhere in update, not in late update. In camera movement nothing happens. In handle camera shake nothing happens. In shaking nothing happens, but we have a method here called get input and we are calculating the x. So before that we'll take that when we are calling get input, and that's in late update, but before the calculating the camera. So it's something like that. We can do it on top, and for that, going below, we have this. Okay, that's all we need, and put it on top. And believe it or not, this is all the code that's in the camera system. So in late update, as I mentioned, we needed to read this, so we don't need this anymore, and that's it. Okay, so of course, if you take a look at the script, it's JavaScript, but I prefer to work on C#. So before starting anything, I want to convert this as much as possible to C#. First thing, when we look at the start method, we have this normal height. So let's go back to start method, and where was it? Here it is. Okay, let's see. The normal height is defined as a float. So the first thing we need to do is to from here down, I'll do this C# version. We'll define to make, was it private or public? It's public. Okay, we'll want to define a public float, and it's called normal height. And when you are not defining anything in JavaScript, it's something like to say, hey, it's equals to 0f. Okay, so moving forward, I want to see if we use any kind of system to define some number to this before assigning to the cpos. So I'm checking. No. So it's just like we tell the system that, hey, we have a public void start, and in the start we have this. Okay, but as I mentioned, the normal height is equal to 0, and I'll check later if we have assigning any number to this and we are using it in calculation. If we are not using it in calculation at all, then it's as simple as saying, hey, we don't want this. Okay, the next thing is that we are defining this, and if you remember, the x was a private, and if I recall it, it was float, private variable, x equals, yeah, when you are calling with the 0.0 format, it's not important if you are calling it variable in JavaScript, but in C# we can call it. Okay, it was a private float, x equals 0f again. Now I'm not sure if we can use angles like this, or if it's another variable. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Okay, angles. and it's defined right above it. Okay, so we can say, hey, of course it's Euler angles, so it should be, I think, vector 3, and then we can say, okay, it's equals to y, or in one go we can say Euler angles but y. That's all. Okay, and what's this cam transform? It's just calling the transform. Okay, but it's in soldier camera, so we need to remember that. So we can say, okay, it's equals to transform, as simple as that. Okay, now we covered the start, but if you remember, we have a late update. So again, public void late update, and in late update we need to call something else. First is this line. This line is one line if statement. Okay, what's this calling? It's calling that, okay, we have a vector 2 called A equals to, and it's something like this. Let's just move it below. We are saying if soldier controller dot aim, then A equals to aim speed, else A equals to speed. That's it. That's all. Okay, now what's the aim is that if we are going to where was it? Soldier controller script. Okay, and in soldier controller script, if you look, we have a public variable that is hidden in inspector called aim, and it's just a boolean. Okay, so it's for the times that you hit the right mouse key for aiming, and it's reading the speed in the time when you are aiming, and if you are not aiming, it's saying, okay, it's normal speed.